Hello everyone, and thank you for coming to our event today. My name's Leah Ellis, and as the chair of the Merseytravel Unison Branch Equality and Diversity Working Group, I'd like to welcome you here today. I'd really like to hand over now to Steve Rotheram, Metro Mayor for the Liverpool City region, who will deliver our opening address. Okay, over to you, Steve. Thank you.
Thanks, Leah, and thanks for the branch for the invite. I hope you don't mind just indulging me for a couple of minutes, because Harold Wilson once said that a week was a long time in politics, and I know exactly what he meant by that statement. I just want to clarify a few bits, because it's really important that people do understand what's happened over the last few days, and that is that whilst, of course, other areas don't have the same enormity of the challenges that we face with exponential increases of transmission rates, and our hospitals actually today in danger of being overwhelmed with COVID, they are going into whatever tier the government decides along with them that is appropriate. We did not have that choice. We were designated to go into tier 3. No ifs or buts, we were going into tier 3. And so some of the stuff that has come out subsequently really does leave a very, very bitter taste in the mouth. We worked in good faith to try and get the best deal for the people in our city region. And if there are people watching this who do know me, you will know that I would never ever do anything that would damage anybody, any part of our city region. So it's interesting, Leah, in one of your opening comments, you spoke about tackling hatred. I get that point as well. It's great as well that we're being joined by, or we are going to be joined by people like Rothery, Roger McKenzie, of course, who people will know, Kim Johnson, our MP, our first black MP, by the way, from the city centre, and Lorna Rogers, who is the head of the Mayoral Development Programme in the city region. And so, despite the fact that we will be making further statements today on what I said earlier, and that's primarily, again, something that is one of the themes in this. It's around the fairness of the deal that the government implement for areas in tier 3. So, for instance, if you're in tier 3, that means that furlough kicks in, but furlough is at 2/3, as you know. Myself and Andy Burnham are going to be challenging this, and we'll say more about that later this afternoon. But the whole theme is about fairness and equality. And so, first of all, thank you all for joining the call. I'll just keep my remarks brief. I do think the branch took the right decision to set up this group in the wake of the scenes that we saw, the horrific murder of George Floyd earlier this year, and of course of others, and of course then the subsequent Black Lives Matter protests. And it's only 3 and a bit years since I started to lead the city region, and in May, God willing, then I want to stand for a further term. And that's because in that short period of time, I think we've done fantastic things in the combined authority in regard to improving the life chances of people here and increasing opportunities for Black, Asian and minority ethnic people in our city region. And I'll just tease out a few examples if that's okay. So we rewrote our investment strategy specifically to weigh more favourably the funding applications from organisations, for instance, that pay the real wage, recognise trade unions, avoid the inappropriate use of 0 hours contracts, use local supply chains, and employ people from underrepresented groups. We gave funding to Blackburn House, which people will know is a well-established institution for improving social justice and cohesion locally, and we gave £2.5 million to them to upgrade their learning facilities. I created on day one the Fairness and Social Justice Advisory Board, which will be here as long as I'm the Metro Mayor, but that's to bring equality to the fore in policy making, and the board is represented by Black and minority ethnic residents, and as advised are the CA on cultural issues, on structures, on practices, and of course on the policy implementation. We've also established Liverpool City Region's Fair Employment Charter, and I'm sure Lynn will say more about this, to tackle the rising in-work poverty and insecurity of employment, and in particular how we improve the employment prospects of BAME communities. And just before the lockdown, I provided the Mandela 8 Foundation with a significant funding package for the great work that they do in L8 and of course beyond, and that's part of what the remit I think really is now, to ensure that other people in other areas understand about the institutionalized discrimination against many people in our Black and minority ethnic communities. But I've said, people have heard me before, I know it's not enough, there's more to do. The statistics are familiar to us all, but I just want to tease some of those out. And so that is that there's a disproportionate underrepresentation of BAME in apprenticeships locally and of course nationally. The employment gap in the Liverpool City region is 17% between white and BAME residents. In the country, there's a pay gap, of course, the gender pay gap, but there's a pay gap of £1 per hour. Graduate unemployment in our city region is 2% for whites, 6% for black grads, and in the UK, you're twice as likely to live in poverty if you come from a BAME background. And these statistics, both national and local, are shameful. So working with our trade unions and obviously the brothers and sisters who'll be watching this, I'll make it my mission to ensure that the Liverpool City region does something about these things to improve the outcomes for the lives of people who are underrepresented here, to show that things can be done differently, to show that we can change the status quo, and to show again, as we always have, that where Liverpool leads, many other areas will follow. And I know that people potentially will want to ask questions, and more than happy to do that, as you said, via the chat. Thanks, Leah.
Thank you, Steve. It was really interesting to hear your speech and your thoughts there. I think you've excellently expressed the kind of challenges that we face in the Liverpool City region and beyond, really. I think COVID has brought many of those to the forefront of the agenda, but I think, as you've expressed, they existed before then too. I think the idea of Liverpool leading is really inspirational and motivational, and I think that's what we all hope for with regards to E&D. So it's really, I feel privileged really that we've got to hear your thoughts there, and I don't doubt that you'll continue to make a real impact in the city region as our Metro Mayor. So thank you so much for that.